Hello guys, Crispy here, welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm gonna be testing a GeForce RTX 4090 in Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. This one is the Asus ROG Strix version of the card. I am running it with the latest Nvidia drivers and I'm not manually overclocking it. You can see all of its specs right here in Tech Power-Ups. GPU 0 accessible bar is also enabled there. And over on the left, I'm pairing it with a Ryzen 9 7950X3D CPU with half of its cores disabled, making it pretty much the same as a Ryzen 7 7800X3D and 32 gigabytes of RAM. Let's get into it, shall we? Alright, let's start by going over the settings. We're at 4K native resolution here, okay, and going down, you can see that I disabled motion blur, chromatic aberration, film grain. I don't really like these effects. I will keep depth of field though. And on the graphics quality settings, I'm using the Supreme preset. So basically everything is maxed out down here, as you can see. DLSS is set to DLAA, so it's still native. It's just applying the anti-aliasing from DLSS. Frame generation is turned off. And, well, this is just the performance metrics. It's set to very ultra. It's these metrics that you can see on the top right of the display. There's nothing else down here. It's just color filters and contrast and so on. And, yeah, that's about it for the graphics settings. Let's hit continue right here. Look at this. Look at how cinematic it looks right now. And we go into first person just like that. Now, right away, we can see that the game looks quite decent, actually. It could look a little bit better in some areas, like the shadow quality over here. It doesn't look supreme, right? Anyway, we can see that it is actually running pretty decently, right? Frame time graph sometimes has those little spikes, little inconsistencies, but you can clearly tell just by looking at this, that this is not a UE5 title, right? That's what we've been used to recently. Stuttery messes all over the place, low FPS, bad graphics, or like mediocre graphics, I guess. And this is not that, okay? This is based on their ID Tech 7 engine. And yeah, it's not the prettiest thing around, obviously, but at least it is running pretty well here on the RTX 4090. And like the other game that I tested today, Marvel Rivals, which looked very cartoonish, kind of like Overwatch, and it performs 5 times worse than Overwatch at the same time, because it's UE5. Again, I would have loved to see a flatter frame time graph, though, because those little stutters are a bit annoying, honestly, sometimes, but they're not as annoying or as big as what you'd see in other certain engines. It kind of reminds me of the Avatar game, but I think the Avatar game still looked better than this, with higher resolution textures and stuff. Like, these textures don't look very impressive, right? It's just like the density of the forest that makes it kind of look a little bit impressive, but not really. I mean, yeah. Anyway, let's keep on going here. They also recommend the RTX 4090 for 4K ultra settings with DLSS, which is weird, like with upscaling, because we're playing the game right now with 100 plus FPS average and none of that upscaling. It's just using DLAA over native resolution, so yeah, I don't know what those requirements were for. Maybe they were a little bit amplified. You know what? It kind of makes me sad at the same time that we don't have more games utilizing the Vulkan API. It's usually so smooth and so stable, you know, compared to DirectX 12. What is going on? Okay, let's just use this. I get hello. Yep, there we go. Good stuff. Classic indie. Oh yeah, look at him. Oh yeah. Let's continue going over here. Frame time graph is a little bit more stable now, maybe because we've been to this area already and loaded it in. No, it's back to the same thing. Anyway, you get the idea. If you want native 4K resolution, it's going to work just fine, which is pretty impressive. Now, I want to see if I can make the frame time graph completely flat by locking the FPS, so I'm using RiveTuner for that. It usually gives us very good frame time graphs, you know, very good stability when you lock the FPS using RiveTuner. So I locked it to 69 right here, the best number ever, of course, and we're still using the exact same settings. Now I'll walk around here for a little bit, and it seems like everything is buttery smooth now without any frame time spikes whatsoever. So all you need to do if you want to have the most stable experience possible in this game is lock the FPS, maybe use VSync as well, and you'll be all set, guys. Like, look at this. it doesn't get flatter than that in terms of a frame time graph. It's super stable. There's no need to run unlocked FPS, you know. This is a single player title anyways. You could lock it to like 90 frames per second. Doesn't need to be 69, you know, and achieve that all of the time with super stable frame times, which is absolutely awesome, actually. I'm liking the optimization so far, guys. So I'm gonna unlock the FPS, and I think next we should try the RTX 4060 in the next video, you know, here in this game, because it's surprising. Again, I want to see what the mid-range has to offer, or the entry-level these days, I guess. 60 tier is entry-level now, right? Yeah, there's a bit of shadow popping over there. Look at that. I wish the supreme settings would be a bit more supreme, honestly. Okay, anyway, it's kind of a breath of fresh air. Not because we're in the middle of the nature right now, but because, yeah, games have been so broken lately that it's nice to see a stable game that looks decent, performs well. It doesn't need to have the best graphics, it just needs to be stable and look good at the same time, and I think this achieves that. Now, I want to enable some DLSS frame generation on top of native resolution here to see what we can achieve. Maybe this will flatten out our frame time graph, because in some other games it does so, like in Microsoft Flight Simulator, for example. You get some stuttering issues if you don't use frame generation, then enabling frame generation will actually fix them, and as you can see, it does also fix the frame time graph issues that we were seeing before. So right now, it's a flat frame time graph with some little, very tiny spikes every once in a while, which aren't really noticeable. They're not enough to lower our 1% lows even. And I think we should progress now into the story, right? That's enough walking around here. Let's see if it stutters once we go to another area and it needs to load another area, okay? Here with the frame generation. But yeah, guys, you don't even need DLSS quality. If you enable FG over native, it will look exactly the same as native resolution, maybe a tad bit softer, which is not noticeable at all. At least I can't notice it on a 42-inch monitor. So yeah, this is a pretty awesome experience if you have like a 144 Hz or a 165 Hz or basically any higher refresh rate monitor at 4K resolution. There is a tad bit of added input lag by that frame generation, even at 140 or 150 FPS. It is a little bit noticeable, but since this is a single player title, again, it doesn't really matter too much. Okay, so I kind of... no, that's not what I wanted to do. Hello! What the heck? I want some flashlight or something. Come on. No, okay. Fire looks decent, actually. Not too bad. It's just a white blob there, but okay. Let's go. All right, we got some lights now coming from outside. Okay, let's go through the webs. Come on, clear path. Let's do this. First-person Indiana Jones game with a lot of cutscenes. Senor. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, I don't like that. You also have some on your shoulder, buddy. Are you okay? Oh my god, that's a lot of them. I will get them off you if you give me a 9800X 3D. Also, if you're wondering, this is using ray tracing. It says right there on the top right, once again, just below the resolution. What the hell is going on? Yeah, it says RT on. So I was doubting that it was using ray tracing with this performance, you know, but it is on. Let's go. It's all good. It's all good. Yes. Oh boy. Okay. No, that's definitely not good. Okay, let's go. Finally, more light. I can see now again. Let's go. Come on. Why does it go into third person sometimes? It's weird. I guess it just cut it into the cutscene, basically. Let's go. Buddy, please. Oh boy. That's the second time I save your life, dude. I'm wondering if all of those issues are because of frame generation being enabled. Because sometimes FG will make it artifact a little bit, as you probably know already. So without frame generation enabled, we shouldn't be seeing any of those flickering issues that we were seeing. But if those happen with frame generation, Nvidia, you need to fix that, of course. You know. Ah, okay, let's run. Let's run for it. We're good. Yeah, it's fine, guys. We're supposed to win. I think... Oh. You know what? It's probably time for us to change some settings around. I mean, not these settings, but play around with some DLSS again. Let's try it on quality here, okay? And on quality DLSS, we get up into the 120s, 130s. There's that weird frame time graph once again. But yeah, apparently, guys, if you want a high refresh rate experience, you either use frame generation or DLSS quality, and it will improve your FPS by a lot. Why did you fall? Buddy, oh, he was dreaming. This was all a dream, of course. You know what, guys? I love those statistics on the top right corner. It even tells us the actual resolution with DLSS quality, which is 1440p. It's being upscaled to 4K. It's great. This is lovely. Now I don't have to memorize every single resolution with every single DLSS setting, you know? Again, I can't really tell that the game is using DLSS on quality, so it looks just as good as native resolution to me. Maybe it has a little bit more aliasing somewhere, but I can't really find it, honestly. Like, everything looks great. Even the hair doesn't have aliasing. So this is awesome. And I guess enabling frame generation on top of DLSS quality will flatten that frame time graph. And it will also make it 200 plus FPS, maybe? Yep, there we go. We hit 200 for a second there. Good stuff. So for those of you using like those OLEDs, 240 hertz 4K monitors, which are absolutely beautiful and insane, this might be the way to go if you have the RTX 4090, you know? Enable all of these technologies and it will still look great. Input lag will be pretty negligible in a single-player title once again. Aha! Guys, I just discovered why we're getting such high FPS. Apparently the early access version doesn't have full ray tracing support or the path tracing support, and that's why we're getting higher FPS. Ray tracing is still on, as it says there on the Vulkan on-screen display, but it will get a patch when it releases with path tracing, and it will make the game a lot more intensive, so keep that in mind. But anyway, when the game actually comes out, I will be sure to make another video testing the full path traced settings. But alright guys, I thought I'd come here to the initial part of the game again with the forest and the vegetation and so on to showcase a little bit of worst case scenario than what we were seeing there in the library. And yeah, it's still getting very close to 200 frames per second, 180s, 190s. It's awesome. In terms of FPS, it's great. In terms of graphics, it's not the prettiest game, but I'd rather have this than a 10% or 20% prettier game that is 4 times harder to run. Let's use DLAA again. Actually, no, I'm going to use native TAA, which should be a little bit less intensive than DLAA, because now I want to check it out with 8K resolution. Since this actually ran pretty well at the 4K resolution, I think 8K might be possible with a 4090. So here we go. This is it, 7680 by 4320. It's 4 times the pixel count as 4K resolution. Super hard to run. Native, okay? And it's still getting us playable FPS. It's 40 FPS. I don't remember last time that I played a recent title at 8K resolution and it was actually playable at native res with full-on maxed out settings, aside from, again, like path tracing, which will come later, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm noticing that some textures do take a while to render whenever you are very fast with the camera. Like, yeah, like, look at the ground, for example. It's very hard to notice, probably, but I am noticing it sometimes. Maybe it's running out of VRAM, actually. Probably not. It's allocating 22 gigabytes and using 19 or almost 20 gigs. So, no problems there, I guess. And it's not really having any slowdowns because of VRAM either, so it should be fine. You know what? Some of these textures are really not impressive, guys. I'm pausing right now and making a little stop here in the middle of the woods and licking things basically, and it's not the most impressive game again in terms of visuals, but it doesn't mean it's bad. Anyway, moving on, it seems to drop into the 30s sometimes, but for 8K resolution it's actually pretty playable. Oh my, what is going on? Those guys running, they look like they were at 5 FPS or 15 FPS. Pretty weird stuff. Yeah, some animations also seem to be from the last decade. Like, what is going on? Is it because they're far away from us, so it doesn't render the animations properly? I don't know. Maybe? Yeah, they're like 15 FPS now again. If we get close to them. Oh, the popping in this game is pretty insane, guys. Shadow popping everywhere. Characters just start running around or walking around at 15 FPS. It's weird. Anyway, if that's what it takes for good FPS, I guess I'll take it. Let's go with DLSS performance. I usually use DLSS performance here at 8K resolution. This makes it run at 4K resolution, as you can see there with the Vulkan on-screen display. And with performance DLSS at 8K resolution, it runs above 60 FPS. So it shouldn't really drop. Obviously, that frame time is pretty weird, so you want to lock it to 60 frames per second if you want to play at 8K, but it will be possible with very nice visuals indeed. Obviously, performance DLSS isn't really the prettiest thing at the lower resolution, but at 8K, I don't think it makes that big of a difference, honestly. I don't have an 8K TV or monitor to put that to the test, but at least on my 42-inch 4K TV, which I'm playing on right now, I can't really tell a major difference between this and native 8K res. But well, let's try to make it a little bit better. Obviously, if you're playing at 8K, I would just leave it like this, but I want to check out some frame generation. This usually breaks every GPU I tested on at 8K resolution because it consumes a lot more VRAM. As you can see, VRAM allocation is at 24 gigabytes, and it doesn't really improve our FPS at all. Maybe we got like 2 more frames per second, but the input lag is absolutely insane right now, so I would not recommend this, guys, definitely. And with all of that said, I think that's been it for this one. Thanks for watching. This was an early look without path tracing in Indiana Jones The Great Circle, and I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll catch you in the next one very soon. As always, love you all. Bye-bye.